In reality, hero protagonist delivers pizza for Uncle Enzo's Cosa Nostra Pizza Inc. But in the metaverse, he's a warrior prince, plunging headlong in the enigma of a new computer virus that's striking down hackers everywhere. He races along the neon-lit streets on a search and destroy mission for the shadowy virtual villain threatening to bring about an apocalypse. Hello and welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host Liam, aka Hembar. Today I'll be doing a spoiler-free review of Neal Stephenson's Snow Crash. Snow Crash is a 1992 standalone sci-fi novel by Neal Stephenson. It is probably best labeled as cyberpunk, maybe as absurd cyberpunk, and probably even more specifically kind of a parody of the cyberpunk genre. Our story starts with a deliberator armed with samurai swords. He once had a gun, but now swords are better, I guess, and equipped in armor and in this hefty car, which is essentially a Batmobile. It's America. Everyone does what they want. There's a bad economy. Brain drain already happened. A deliberator is a high-speed pizza delivery driver. He has never delivered one in more than 21 minutes. A spoof, of course, of the old 30 minutes or it's free thing. Funnily, burger flippers are not so well respected. In fact, the whole opening diatribe perfectly sets the tone for the ensuing madness. It's brutal, pulls no punches. Pizza University, new life for the mafia, mean words, and insanity kind of all come up. So what happens when traffic is bad, lights seem to go red all the time, and time is running out? Someone will, of course, harpoon your car to hitch a ride and slow the deliberator down, which are bad news when you're trying to get a pizza on time. This is Los Angeles, and it's no longer part of the United States. And there's a franchise organized quasi-national entities, or sort of like city-states run by businesses. The CIA and Library of Congress have merged to make a for-profit organization, the CIC. Small bills are quadrillion-dollar bills, since hyperinflation was inset by government printing to combat online currency. Our characters are hero protagonists, who is half African-American and Japanese. Hiro being the Japanese name Hiro, Hiro, but obviously like the English word hero you're thinking of. And YT, who's the other main character, stands for yours truly, who refers to herself in the third person. Hiro is essentially a power fantasy. I found him likable still. This is a very enjoyable book. I will say that right now. So these two, they kind of sell intel to the CIC. In one case, takes Hiro inside the metaverse, though he seems to spend a lot of time there anyways. Of course, which is exactly the cyberspace place you think it is. Right? He goes there to get a data file, though. The metaverse characters have avatars, and it's this novel that popularized Avatar for such a thing. Demons in the metaverse are also the old school sense, like they are kind of in Sun Eater. They're robots, essentially, just as they are spirits in ancient Greek. When someone is injured in the metaverse and receives brain damage in real life, the stakes are upped, as that shouldn't happen, right? And that's because of the so-called Snow Crash. This is a new drug, which, of course, this is a reference to the fuzzy stuff when you would tune to a dead channel, which I haven't seen it in years, but you know what I'm talking about. The story involves Sumerian history as well, what's generally considered the first civilization, right? This includes some linguistic, historic, and religious, or even magical aspects, which are very cool, in my opinion. It is the Tower of Babel as ancient computer virus, essentially. I found this Judeo-Christian and Mesopotamian themes really fun and cool. It's kind of like the Da Vinci Code in this respect. There's also a sweet-powered wheelchair. Immigration gates are dystopian racist markers, segregating places. At one point, Hiro is called a crossbreed. Hiro thinks about his orientation in the world kind of in this way as well. And the word retard is used the way it was in the 90s. So in that sense, it kind of feels a little outdated. This feels very 90s, right? And a lot of cyberpunk feels very 80s or early 90s. There is a romance subplot, but it's, I don't know. Hiro's interest in Juanita is the main thing. There's also a sex scene between an adult and a teenager, which is uncomfortable to say the least. I imagine it's supposed to be as well. There are hefty amounts of what you'd call info dumps, though. I'm normally not a fan because they don't often drive the story, or it kind of feels like showing off in some cases, but I think that actually works quite well here. Hiro isn't the most interesting character in the world. Again, he's almost a Mary Sue, right? But he works. One review says YT is problematic, but I've seen this person say nonsense like that before, and I think it's a confusion of realism being a problem with the writer YT gets sexualized a lot in this novel, and I think that's on purpose because women get sexualized a lot in reality, whether they're young or good looking, whatever what it is, right? Sure, I like my futures or fantasy where that doesn't happen. I like that plenty, right? But cyberpunk is about present problems, right? And that's been one for millennia, and it still is a problem. And so it makes sense that it's here, right? I mean, if you don't want present problems in your stories, don't read cyberpunk. I enjoyed her character more than Hero for sure. And I would say though society isn't great, not very nice to people like YT, she handles it like a pro. She's very capable. She's definitely not a damsel in distress, and I think that's what's very admirable out of her character. And this story is also very postmodern. That part was very funny and self-aware. And this was right around the time, well, that an N-word is used by some racist South Africans, which is obviously a jab at colonialism and such. It's also a tad anticlimactic at the end, but I feel like the novel's kind of vibe over plot, and it works fine. Overall, I enjoyed the virus. I enjoyed the cult madness of the world, plus the references to Moby Dick and stuff. And there's even a sword and sorcery reference. So overall, very fun novel. Essentially would make like my honorable mentions for last year, though I don't remember if I remember to say it. So anyways, very enjoyable. I'm definitely looking forward to reading more by Neal Stephenson. I have some things in mind, but the only one I have is Seven Eves. So that will probably be the next one. Anyways, Liam from Liam's ICM. I'll catch you next time.